Phil Jamieson, welcome to Australian Musician.
Thanks for having me.
We're talking to you about your debut solo album, Somebody Else. Listening to the album, I was trying to get an idea of what your influences might have been. What were the albums that you played to death growing up?
Whoa. I was in a really fortunate position in time. In my teenage years, I came up around, in that high school era, age of 13 and 14, with really great, obviously grunge was sort of popular at the time. So within the Violent Femmes to Nirvana to Soundgarden to the Melvins to Sonic Youth to Beck, to those kind of artists. And then I had a lot of love for Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, and Iggy Pop and David Bowie. They were like the three kind of guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up, popular music, like what was number one on the charts was Smells Like Teen Spirit. So it's very different to what it was today. So I think, that's kind of where I was, what I was surrounded by, what I was listening to as a teen. Yeah.
What about songwriters that you admire for the way they construct songs? Do you look at some songwriters and pull their songs apart, learn things from them?
To a point. I mean, I love, like everyone, I love Dylan. I love Lou Reed. Love Patti Smith. Love some of the more, I love Tim Rogers, Australian songwriter, singer. And when I was learning how to play those songs as a kid, I never really thought about so much of the construction of them. But then as I was learning guitar, I was kind of looking at tablature and learning how to get more competent at guitar in some ways. So I think, I'd learn Hendrix and stuff like that, which is, I still can't play very well, but
you can.
you can. That's a very good, Greg. You kind of learn about the construction from there. But yeah, pulling apart songs, I guess in some ways, but sometimes it's a lyric will get me. I'm like hooked on that, and a clever opening line, or the way tempo will speed and subtract. But yeah, I think as a young kid, I desperately tried to learn songs, but I was not great at it. Like I could never play like those guitar magazines, had the tablatures of like a Led Zeppelin song or a Guns N' Roses song. And it was just a little beyond me. So I ended up writing my own stuff. It's way easier.
Once you decided you were going to do a solo album, what was the goal? Did you have a vision in mind with the album as a whole?
Oh, no. The short answer is it was originally going to be a 7-inch through Cheer Squad, 2 songs. And then I was like, I'd love to do some more. And, I was like, I had a few more songs. The vision was to create a body of work, number one, I was really happy with and proud of. And number two, to release it in a relatively successful fashion where people were able to access it and hear it. Hence why I'm talking to you and other wonderful people that have given me their time. Also, because I've been touring solo for 10 years now, there'd be people who come to my shows for that long and not knowing any of these songs. So I think it's only fair that I actually share them recorded properly, and maybe they can, I don't know, sing along if they want, or not, either or. But the vision more than anything was they weren't literally necessarily weighing me down creatively, but I needed to get these out. And I'm really grateful for Cheer Squad for letting me do that. But now allows me a bit of a creative reset to work on some other songs. Sometimes songs can drag, you can carry them around. And I'm like, I need these to be, well, people said they needed to be heard. So that was really lovely. But I think, I'm really grateful that I was able to get it out. And the vision is basic. It's just, hopefully people can hear them.
Yeah. Wally Kempton has built up quite a catalogue of quality artists with his Cheer Squad label. Why did you decide to release through Cheer Squad?
Well, I know Wal. I've known him for years, and he kind of gets it. like he kind of gets where I was going with it. He liked, number one, he liked the material, which is helpful. He came when I was shooting the video clip for somebody else. This is pre my deal with Cheer Squad. He came down to that video shoot for whatever reason and heard the song. I was like, oh, this is good. And so I sent him Lights On, which is the third single. And we were just going to do a 7-inch. And then I was like, wait, I think I've got a few more. So I found some more. But yes, I've just, it comes down to a trust issue, doesn't it? I mean, I've dealt with major labels over the years. I've dealt with indies, but he's a mate. He answers his phone, which is good. And I get along really well with him, and he gets it. He gets what I want to do. And he's got a great catalog of artists on his label. And they are building up really nicely, that label. I'm really, really honored to be part of that little family.
Yeah. Why is Somebody Else the title track?
Why is it the title track? Well, I wanted to call it Little Pickle, and then my management were like, no, don't call it that. I don't know. Somebody else, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? I'm in a band, I've gone solo, name of the song, name of the album, first single, first track. Very keeping it simple, really. It's a good name for a first ever solo record, I think. Somebody Else, right? Makes sense.
Yeah. Lights On, you mentioned, is the third single, I think the current one.
Yep.
How did that song come about?
I was sampling Billie Jean, the drums at the start of Billie Jean, Michael Jackson track. And it's a straight beat, but it has a slight swing to it. And then I was just kind of an ascending or descending riff with some nice voicings on the chords, which I was trying to get to, like a 1-4-5, really simple chorus, sort of really poppy chorus. But so descending riff, Billie Jean thing. And then I came up with the little shalala melody to kind of counteract the other melodies that are in the chorus. I really love that song. I love the lyric in it. It's like no one really knows what it's about, but it's got some nice imagery to it. So that's been floating for a little while, that song, in different guises. I didn't have the chorus in the center. I had it right at the end. So everyone was like, well, what's the point of this? It just has a bridge and goes back to the verse. So Oscar Dawson, who helped produce that from Holy Holy, was like, maybe we should bring the chorus up a little. I'm like, okay. Sometimes I write songs just to be obstinate. I want to be entertained, no one else. But that was a fun little track.
The track Trouble, there's a lot happening underneath that musically. Are you hearing some of those sounds when you're writing, or does that come later?
That's gone through some different things. That was originally kind of a fun, like a joke song I wrote. I think I mentioned John Law's Boat and other like weird things. And I was kind of writing it as a bit of a joke. And it kind of was a bit more traditionally rock, I guess, big rock. And then the middle eight was completely changed with Davey Lane from You and I helped produce that. He did a fantastic job. I didn't envisage hearing synth at the front of that song. That was Davey's idea, but the sounds he kind of came through with, now it makes perfect sense. I was envisaging that middle eight, but I just didn't know how to do the chord voicings as well as he's a master of the voicing of the chord. But there is a bit going on, especially that chorus is very big. I always wanted the chorus to be big, but we ended up changing the tempo. So the tempo in the verses is a different tempo to the chorus. The chorus kind of sucks in and slows down, which has more impact. Yeah.
So what did Oscar Dawson bring to the project?
He has a subtle way. I think anything collaborative artistically can be fraught with danger, because essentially you're kind of bearing your soul when you ask someone to come on board with you artistically. He's an incredible instrumentalist. He can kind of play everything. That was really handy because I can do stuff, Sometimes I'm not great. He knows the answer to stuff. So like I'll ask him, so should I sing it like this or sing it like that? He'll go sing it like that. You know, there's never he doesn't scratch his head. He's like, he knows exactly. So that's really helpful. He's incredibly quick. We did 3 songs in 3 days, I think. That's done. So, and I think a sense of a pop sensibility that kind of framed it like Lights On, Rebecca and somebody else, which he all produced it. I've got this beautiful, I mean, they're all pop songs realistically. It's just how we frame them. But yeah, he was unreal to work with. And I loved it. He was, and just, yeah, very quick, very to the point, and knew what he wanted out of me, which is either a guitarist or a singer. I was like, well, which way should I sing this line? It's like, do it that way. I'm like, okay, great. Thank you, I will.
And how's your cut off, Phil? Are you good at knowing when a song is done?
Yeah, probably too soon. I'm one of those guys. I mean, I guess I am a recording artist, but like, it's not probably my favorite space to be in. So yes, I'm probably like, is that enough? I mean, I was actually this is my studio at the back. So I was actually doing overdubs in this studio for YCBM just before we finished the record. And also I did some for Little Pickle and Trouble up here. Most of that stuff was recorded down in Melbourne. Just little slight lyrical changes. You know, the slightest little nuances will annoy me. So I wanted to get that right. But when it comes to cowbell and tambourine, I'm like, I don't know. Should we have it? Should we not? My cutoff point's pretty much I'm cool with it. And for mixing, I think I'd lean on the producers a little bit about it. I mean, I know what I like, but sometimes my descriptives, I'm just like, can you make it sound more fun or happy? Don't know if there's a fun and happy button, but yeah, I'm pretty good. I don't labor over anything too much, because if it tells the story, it tells the story. And if it sounds good, and that's, you know, basically it.
Yeah. It's funny you describe songs like that, because when I was interviewing a musician named Darian, what's his name? Sahanaja, is Brian Wilson's producer. And I said, how does Brian communicate ideas to you? And he said the same thing. He said, can we make it more happy, more fun? So
yeah, that's great company to be in.
Yeah. All the tracks on this album and most of Grinspoon's songs have very short titles, one or two words. And even the track You Could Be Mine, you've shortened to YCBM. Obviously, that's something you're conscious of?
Oh, I've been doing it since the start of my whole writing career. I think the first Grinspoon album had a song called NBT, DCX3. There's a myriad of songs. I don't really do long titles. Maybe just to usurp that for my next release, it'll be filled with long titles. But yeah, I want to get to the point. And You Could Be Mine is a Guns N' Roses song. God damn it. So I just changed it right at the last minute for the album artwork to YCBM. It fits with what I do. Yes, I'm conscious of it, but it's kind of what I've always done. And I like the way it looks as well. I think it looks better. Yeah. I play a Hagstrom Viking Deluxe, which I've owned since 2004, which is my main axe for the solo stuff. I also have a Gretsch, which I'm on the road with as well. I find for solo stuff, I need a hollow-bodied guitar because I play it sort of like an acoustic. So I need to dig in. With Grinspoon, I play a Les Paul TV Special Junior, I think. I'm terrible with guitar names. So I should know more. And I've played that good. That's just, Grinspoon, I only do one thing, and it's rhythm, and it's straight, and I don't really need to worry about sound too much because it just has to be at AC30 with the Gibson, which is great. Whereas solo stuff is a little more varied. So I've just got a pedal board and I've got some fancy pedals on it and I muck around. But yeah, my main guitar is the Hagstrom Viking, which is, when I think about it, a hilarious sounding name for a guitar. But yeah.
The tour has already started. How's the tour going, and how are the new songs scrubbing up?
Yes, good, thank you. We've done so far. Oh, where were we? We were Eltham in New South Wales, then Gold Coast, Sunny Coast, and Brisbane over the last 4 or 5 nights. And with some pre-production at the Curtin Hotel in Melbourne just previous to that. Yeah, they're a bit of a different beast live. Audiences have been great, which has been, everyone's saying it's really hard out there, which I guess it is, but I've had some really positive responses. And it's just great to give these songs life. I got emotional at first show, going, wow, these songs have lived in my studio or in my head for that long. It felt really nice to have them in a live format, be able to give them breathe life. I've got Davey Lane on guitar with me, which is an amazing get. He's an incredible musician, but also a great friend. And Sam Raines on drums and Rob Munoz on bass. Sam and Rob played in Sasquatch for years. And now they also play with Didiri, Mia Ray, other artists. So yeah, but they're really great as well. And Rob's got his own studio. So yeah, they're a wealth of knowledge, my little band. And it's been really fun to get it out there.
Are you playing all 8 tracks?
Yeah, playing all 8 tracks. Little Pickle is taking on a new life, very different to the recorded version, but it's also pretty exciting out there. So all 8 tracks, and then I'm chucking in some covers and having some fun, maybe making a few jokes. It's good.
Yeah. Grinspoon played a show for the victims of the floods in Lismore a couple of months ago. I hadn't actually heard anything about that show. How was it?
Yeah, it was emotional. It was we done Perth the night before on a tour called Spring Loaded at Red Hill Amphitheatre with the UMIs and the Jebediahs of the world. Got on a flight to fly to, I believe we flew to Brisbane and then drove down to Lismore. That was with Paul Kelly, Lime Cordial, amongst others. It was a free show for the local people there that have gone through hell. Felt like, obviously it's nice for us to do, and I felt good doing it. Obviously we donated our time and donated everything. But yeah, I felt a sense of helplessness leaving that place. Like, I'm glad we were able to lift spirits, but there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do there. So yeah, there's a way to go for Lismore. But obviously that city's provided me with hundreds of songs. So I feel really connected to that place. But yeah, I don't know the answers. It was tough. It was tough out there. But not for me. I just sang songs and made people happy. So that was nice. But it was honored to be asked, but still I think on a broader level there's a fair bit to do. Yeah.
Somebody else is out now. You're halfway through the tour. What's on for the rest of 2022?
It's a good question. I've got like kind of shows until November solo in and around. This tour was probably the most intensive part of that. Playing Albury, Wodonga, Coffs Harbour, doing little bits here and there. I'm trying desperately to get to Tasmania and to Western Australia to tour this record as well. And I'm going to be doing a bit more writing, I think, which will be really fun. Grinspoon have one more show of the year, which is August 13 in Adelaide. Coincidentally, I play the night before solo on this solo tour, which will be worlds colliding a little bit, but all fun. But yes, I'm just going to be doing some writing and then seeing if I can get into those, get into Tassie, WA, maybe get up to Northern Territory, do some shows as well. And do a bit more writing and recording and see what happens. Yeah.
All right, Phil, it's a great album. It's out now, and thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you so much. We got there.
We did it.